The silent void. The galactic vessel Luminary shuddered violently as another power relay exploded somewhere deep within its hull. Captain Zelvorn's four-fingered hands gripped the command chair, her crystalline exoskeleton catching the dim emergency lights in fractured patterns across the bridge. Warning indicators flashed across holographic displays as critical systems continued to fail. "Damage report," she commanded, her multi-toned voice cutting through the cacophony of alarms. Chief Engineer Rax pressed a compression pad against his torso, where acidic hydraulic fluid had splashed during the initial impact. His skin, normally a vibrant blue, had paled to a sickly cyan. "Life support is failing, Captain," he reported, voice steady despite the pain. "Quantum drive is completely offline. Main communications array destroyed. Hull breaches on decks 4 through 7. Zelvorn surveyed the bridge. Of her 12 bridge officers, only 7 remained at their stations. Medical Officer Trill moved efficiently between the wounded, administering emergency treatments with her 4 upper limbs, while her lower limbs anchored her to the deck plates. Security Chief Dorn had sealed off the damaged sections. Navigator Pax attempted to determine their position. "Where are we?" Zelvorn asked. Pax's eye stalks swiveled toward her, narrowing in concentration. "Unknown, Captain. The anomaly has displaced us approximately 82,000 light cycles from our last plotted position." A heavy silence fell over the bridge as the implications became clear. They were hopelessly far from the Coalition's territory, in completely uncharted space. "Life support status." Zelvorn turned to Rax. 7 cycles at current capacity. Perhaps 10 if we power down all non-essential systems and seal off the damaged sectors. Communications Officer Lyra worked frantically at her station, her translucent fingers dancing across damaged interfaces. "Quantum relay is beyond repair," she said, mandibles clicking in distress. "All we have is the auxiliary radio transmitter, technology no advanced civilization has used in millennia." Zelvorn straightened in her chair, ignoring the pain in her left side where a support beam had struck during the initial event. "Send the distress call anyway. Use all frequencies." "Captain," Science Officer Mev interjected, his gelatinous form rippling with agitation. "Radio waves in this region would take approximately 38 cycles to reach the nearest Coalition outpost." "I am aware of the limitations," Zelvorn replied quietly. "Send it anyway." Everyone understood the grim reality. They would be long dead before anyone received their message, but protocol demanded they try, and something in Zelvorn refused to die in silence. Lyra composed the message, her voice carefully modulated. "This is Coalition vessel Luminary. We have suffered catastrophic damage from a spatial anomaly. 34 crew members alive. Life support failing. Our position is unknown. This is Captain Zelvorn of the Galactic Coalition. If anyone receives this message, please inform Coalition Command of our fate." The message began broadcasting on repeat, primitive radio waves expanding outward into the void at the speed of light, far too slow to save them. "Everyone still with us?" Zelvorn asked, looking around the bridge. Security Chief Dorn checked his tablet. 34 survivors total, Captain. 34 survivors from a crew of 112. Zelvorn closed her primary eyes briefly, honoring the dead. "We should record final messages," Medical Officer Trill suggested gently, "for families." Zelvorn nodded. "Yes, everyone will have time for personal recordings. But first, we must focus on extending our survival as long as possible." "Why?" Navigator Pax asked, her voice barely audible. "We're already dead." "Because we are Coalition," Zelvorn replied firmly, "and we face our end with dignity and purpose." The captain stood, wincing at the pain in her side. She looked at each crew member in turn, each a different species with their own unique biology, yet all united under the banner of the Galactic Coalition. Engineer Rax, focus on extending life support. Officer Trill, establish a medical area in the central chamber. Chief Dorn, inventory our supplies. Navigator Pax, Continue scanning for any habitable worlds nearby. Officer Mev, analyze the anomaly data in case our message is received. The Coalition should understand what happened. Officer Lyra, keep broadcasting. The rest of you, assist where needed. The crew moved with renewed purpose, grateful for the direction. Zelvorn made her way to the damaged view screen, which flickered occasionally to show the starfield outside. The anomaly had disappeared, leaving them stranded in an unfamiliar region of space. Later, as the ship's cycle shifted to rest period, Zelvorn recorded her personal message in her quarters. She spoke of her pride in her crew, her love for her Bond family back home, and her hope that the Coalition would continue to unite different species in peace. When she finished, she reviewed the ship's status. Rax had managed to extend life support to 12 cycles by shutting down entire sections of the ship. The crew now lived in just 3 areas: the bridge, the central chamber, and a small portion of the living quarters. Zelvorn made her way to the observation deck. It was unpressurized now, so she wore an environmental suit. Through the cracked but intact window, she watched as their distress signal pulsed outward, invisible radio waves carrying their final words into the darkness. Not how I imagined my final command, she said to herself. She stood there for a long time, watching distant stars. In all her years of service, she had never felt so small, so isolated. The Coalition spanned thousands of worlds, hundreds of species, yet here they were, 34 individuals who would disappear without a trace, unless... No, she would not allow herself false hope. The chances of anyone detecting their primitive radio signal were astronomically low, and even if someone did, they would be decades too late. As the ship systems conserved power, shutting down section by section, the luminary grew quieter. The crew gathered in the central chamber, sharing stories of home, of adventures across the stars. Different species with different beliefs, each facing their end in their own way. Their message continued to pulse outward, a desperate cry in an indifferent universe. Little did they know their signal would soon reach someone who still listened to the old frequencies, someone who understood that a call for help should never go unanswered. Maya Chen stared at the small succulent plant she kept on her console. It was thriving despite the artificial environment, hardy and resilient, much like Maya herself. "Just you and me, Phil," she said to the plant, giving it a small amount of water from her recycled supply. The mining vessel Prospector hummed around her, a constant companion on her solo expedition. Outside her viewport, the stars remained fixed points in the endless black, with the massive gas giant she was orbiting dominating the view. Its rings contained valuable mineral deposits that Maya had been harvesting for the past 4 months. She checked her mining quota on her tablet, 78% complete. Another few weeks, and she could head back to Ganymede Station, deliver her payload, collect her payment, and maybe treat herself to a real meal that didn't come from a rehydration packet. Solo mining wasn't for everyone. The isolation drove most people to the brink within weeks, but Maya had always preferred the company of machines to people. Out here, no one questioned her methods, no corporate supervisor breathed down her neck, and no family members asked when she was going to settle down. A sudden beep from her communication console broke the monotony. Maya frowned. This far out, unexpected alerts usually meant trouble. "What's this?" she muttered, adjusting the receiver. The sound was faint, barely distinguishable from the background static. She increased the gain and filtered out the cosmic noise. A voice emerged, distorted but unmistakable. A distress call. Maya leaned forward, her tired eyes suddenly alert. "Computer, clean up this signal." The computer processed the request, and the message became clearer. Coalition vessel luminary. Catastrophic damage. Life support failing. Position unknown. If anyone receives this message, please inform Coalition Command of our fate. The message repeated, broadcast on a frequency that hadn't been used for official communications in decades. Primitive radio waves, the kind of technology space travelers had abandoned once quantum communication became standard. "Computer, Analyze signal origin. After a moment, the computer displayed coordinates. Maya checked them against her current position. The source was approximately 3 days off course, a significant detour that would cut into her mining time and jeopardize her quota. She bit her lip. Company protocol was clear in these situations. Log the anomaly, report it to Earth Central when in range, and continue operations. The outer system was full of old signals and space junk. Most distress calls discovered out here were decades or even centuries old, their senders long gone. But something about this one felt different. The desperation in the voice sounded current. Maya played the message again. She didn't recognize the term coalition. It wasn't a designation used by any Earth corporation or government. And what was a light cycle of distance? She opened the company handbook on her tablet, scrolling to the emergency protocol section. Nothing about non-human communications. Of course not. Because officially, humanity hadn't encountered any other intelligent species yet. But unofficially, there had always been rumors among the deep space miners. Strange signals, unexplained phenomena, sightings at the edges of explored space that never made it into official reports. Maya glanced at Phil the succulent, as if the plant might offer advice. Company protocol says ignore it, she said aloud. But I didn't come out to the ass end of nowhere to follow company protocol. Her mind made up, Maya began plotting a course to the signal's origin. The prospector wasn't built for rescue operations. It was a mining vessel with limited passenger capacity and no medical facilities beyond a basic first aid kit. But it was sturdy, well supplied, and had an excellent life support system. Computer, divert power from mining operations to engines. Plot the most efficient course to these coordinates. As the computer calculated, Maya began checking her supplies. She had enough food and water for herself for another 2 months. Oxygen recyclers were operating at 92% efficiency. Fuel cells were at 76% capacity. It would be a tight margin, especially if she had to take on survivors, but it was doable. Just. Course plotted, the computer announced. Estimated arrival: 67 hours, 23 minutes. Maya took one last look at the gas giant and its mineral-rich rings. Her quota, her bonus, her easy retirement, all of it would have to wait. Execute course, she ordered. The prospector's engines hummed to life, pushing the vessel away from its profitable harvesting grounds and toward the unknown. As Maya prepared for the journey, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was about to discover something that would change humanity forever. Whether that change would be for better or worse remained to be seen. What she did know was that someone needed help. And out here, in the empty darkness between worlds, that was all that mattered. First contact. 3 days later, Maya Chen stared at her view screen in disbelief. The vessel before her was unlike anything built by human hands. It stretched nearly half a kilometer in length, its hull an iridescent material that seemed to ripple with colors that shouldn't exist in normal space. Sections of it were clearly damaged, great tears in the outer shell revealing darkened interiors, crystalline structures jutting at odd angles where something had sheared away part of the hull. Holy shit, she whispered to herself. It's actually alien. Despite the rumors, despite the strange signal, some part of her had expected to find a lost human vessel, perhaps an experimental craft from one of the corporations or military that had strayed off course. But this changed everything. The distress signal continued to pulse. According to her sensors, life support was indeed failing on the alien vessel. Atmosphere was venting from multiple breaches, and power signatures were fluctuating wildly. Computer, attempt communication using the same frequency as the distress signal. After a moment, the computer responded, channel open. Maya took a deep breath. She would be the first human being to knowingly communicate with an extraterrestrial intelligence. What she said next would be analyzed by linguists and historians for centuries to come. No pressure. This is Maya Chen of the Earth Mining Vessel Prospector. I've received your distress call and am here to render assistance. Do you copy? She waited. 1 minute. 2 minutes. Nothing. Maybe they don't understand English, she muttered. Computer, transmit basic mathematical sequences as a sign of intelligence. Prime numbers, Fibonacci sequence, you know the drill. The computer began transmitting the universal language of mathematics. Maya watched the alien vessel, looking for any sign of response. Finally, after nearly 20 minutes, her communication console lit up. Human vessel, came a strained, multi-tone voice. The words oddly accented but clearly English. You understand our transmission. Maya's heart raced. Yes, yes, I understand you. I'm here to help. What's your situation? Catastrophic. System failure. Life support critical. 34 crew remaining. We did not expect. Response. Especially not from. The voice paused. We have no record of your species in our database. Yeah, well, we're kind of new to the neighborhood, Maya replied, her mind racing with implications. They could speak English, which meant they'd been monitoring Earth communications. How long had they been watching humanity? Questions for later. Right now, these people, these beings, needed help. I'm going to dock with your vessel, Maya said. My ship has stable life support and supplies. We can evacuate your crew. Impossible, the voice replied. Docking mechanisms incompatible. And our atmosphere, toxic to most carbon-based life. We've analyzed your vessel. You are carbon-based, yes. Last time I checked. Maya confirmed. And you? Silicon crystalline matrix with phosphorus base circulatory system. Your oxygen atmosphere would be corrosive to our forms. Maya leaned back in her chair, running a hand through her short black hair. This complicated things significantly. Okay, so we can't breathe the same air. But I still need to get aboard to help you. I have an EVA suit with 6 hours of independent life support. Would that work? There was a pause, presumably as the aliens discussed this option. Yes, possible. But our airlock systems are damaged. You would need to enter through a hull breach on Deck 4. Dangerous. I've done spacewalks through debris fields to repair mining equipment, Maya said. I can handle a damaged hull. She began preparing for the spacewalk, gathering tools and diagnostic equipment. Her EVA suit was designed for mining operations in hostile environments. It could handle extreme temperatures, radiation, and micrometeoroid impacts. It would have to be enough. As she suited up, Maya couldn't help but marvel at the absurdity of the situation. She had left Earth to avoid people, and now here she was, risking her life to save a shipful of aliens. The universe has a weird sense of humor, Phil, she said to her plant before sealing her helmet. The journey from the prospector to the alien vessel was tense. Maya used her suit's thrusters to carefully navigate through a field of debris, fragments of the alien ship that had been torn away during whatever catastrophe had befallen them. As she approached the hull breach they had indicated, she got her first clear look at the architecture of the ship. It was both organic and geometric, with curved surfaces that resolved into perfect angles, materials that seemed to flow into one another without seams or joints. Human Maya, came the voice of the alien captain over her comm. You approach the correct entry point. Our sensors detect your life signs. We will guide you to the central chamber once you are aboard. Copy that, Maya replied, maneuvering through the jagged opening in the hull. The interior of the alien vessel was dimly lit by strips of bioluminescent material that pulsed with a soft blue light. The artificial gravity was still functioning, allowing Maya to walk rather than float. The corridors were wider and taller than she was used to, designed for beings larger than humans. Following the aliens' directions, Maya made her way deeper into the ship, passing through sections where emergency barriers had sealed off decompressed areas. She saw evidence of the catastrophe everywhere: ruptured conduits, shattered crystalline components, and what appeared to be dried fluids of various colors splashed across surfaces. Finally, she reached what they called the central chamber, a large circular room that appeared to be serving as both a medical bay and a command center. And there, waiting for her, were the aliens. Maya froze, taking in the sight before her. 34 beings of at least 7 distinct species, all watching her with various sensory organs. Some had multiple limbs, others tentacle-like appendages. Some stood on 2 legs like humans, others moved on many legs, or seemed to hover slightly above the deck. Their bodies ranged from humanoid to utterly foreign, crystalline structures, gelatinous forms, exoskeletons of various configurations. One figure stepped forward, bipedal, slightly taller than Maya, with a body that seemed composed of interlocking crystalline plates that shifted and realigned as it moved. 4-fingered hands emerged from limbs that bent at 3 points rather than 2. Its head was elongated, with no visible mouth but multiple eye-like organs that glowed with an inner light. "I am Captain Zelvorn of the Coalition vessel Luminary," she said, the sound coming through Maya's comm. "You are the first human we have encountered directly. Your response to our distress call was unexpected." Maya realized she should probably say something profound, something worthy of this historic moment. Instead, what came out was, "Well, I couldn't just leave you hanging." A ripple moved through the alien captain's crystalline form. Laughter, perhaps. "We have observed your species from a distance," Zelvorn continued. "The Coalition has strict protocols about contact with emerging spacefaring civilizations. We have been monitoring Earth communications for approximately 50 of your years." "So that's how you know English," Maya said. "Yes. We have translation matrices for most Earth languages, though your particular dialect has colorful variations our systems struggle with." Maya grinned behind her faceplate. "Sorry about that. Mining culture isn't exactly formal." "We are grateful for your assistance," Zelvorn said, her tone becoming serious. "But I must be clear, our situation remains dire. Our life support systems will fail completely within 5 of your days. Our engines are beyond repair. Our quantum communication array is destroyed. My ship can support maybe 5 or 6 of you, max," Maya said, doing quick calculations in her head. "And that's assuming you can survive in sealed environments with your own atmosphere. Most of us cannot, and we will not abandon our crew." "Then we repair your ship," Maya said simply. The alien equivalent of shocked silence followed. "Human Maya, our technology is far beyond your understanding." "No offense intended." "None taken," Maya replied. "But technology is technology. It all follows rules. Physics, engineering principles. Show me your systems, explain how they're supposed to work, and I'll figure out how to fix them. It's what I do." Over the next 4 days, Maya worked alongside the alien engineers in a frantic race against time. She spent hours in her EVA suit, returning to the prospector only to recharge her life support and catch brief periods of sleep. The aliens were indeed technologically advanced beyond human capabilities in many areas. Their quantum drive made Earth's fusion engines look like steam power by comparison. But the basic principles of life support were universal. Systems needed power, atmosphere needed processing, and hull breaches needed sealing. Maya's experience with mining equipment, making do with limited resources, and improvising repairs in hostile environments proved invaluable. Where the aliens' sophisticated repair protocols failed due to lack of proper components, Maya suggested crude but effective alternatives. "No, see, you don't need to reconstruct the entire atmospheric processor," she explained to Chief Engineer Rax as they examined a damaged system. "We just need to reroute these conduits through my ship's TO2 scrubbers. They can handle the load for a few weeks, long enough to get you somewhere you can make proper repairs. Your species' approach to engineering is unorthodox," Rax commented, his blue form shifting in what Maya had come to recognize as thoughtful consideration. "We call it jury reading," Maya said with a grin. "It's a proud human tradition." Working together, they managed to stabilize the life support systems, seal the worst of the hull breaches, and restore partial power to the propulsion system. Not enough for faster-than-light travel, but enough to maneuver. On the fifth day, Maya made a discovery while helping repair the communications array. "These components," she said, pointing to crystalline structures that seemed to shape and focus energy, "they're similar to what we use in our mining lasers, just more advanced. I think I can adapt parts from the prospector to get your short-range communications working again." As she worked alongside the aliens, Maya learned about the Coalition, a peaceful alliance of 17 spacefaring species that had been exploring the galaxy for millennia. Earth was located in a region they considered a development zone, an area where emerging intelligent species were left undisturbed to develop naturally, with only distant observation permitted. "Your species has great potential," Captain Zelvorn told Maya as they watched the repairs nearing completion. "But also concerning tendencies. The Coalition debated extensively whether to make contact when you develop nuclear weapons." "Yeah, we're still working on that part of our civilization," Maya admitted. "But we're not all bad." "Clearly not," Zelvorn agreed. "You abandoned your mission, risked your life, and sacrificed your resources for beings completely unknown to you. Such action speaks to the highest ideals any civilization can aspire to." With the communication array repaired, the luminary sent a message to the nearest Coalition outpost. A rescue vessel would arrive within 14 days. "So what happens now?" Maya asked as she prepared to return to the prospector. "With Earth, I mean. Once word gets out that we made contact, that decision is no longer solely ours to make," Zelvorn replied. "You have demonstrated that humanity is ready for wider contact. I will recommend to the Coalition Council that formal relations be established." Maya thought about what that would mean. Advanced technology, interstellar travel, new cultural exchanges, the knowledge that humanity was not alone in the universe. "It's going to change everything," she said quietly. "Change is the only constant in the universe," Zelvorn said. "The question is whether we face it alone or together." Before Maya left, the alien crew presented her with a gift, a small crystalline device containing the combined knowledge of Coalition star charts, scientific principles, and cultural histories. "A head start," Zelvorn explained, "for when humanity officially joins the galactic community." Maya looked at the device in her hand, the key to advancing human technology by centuries, perhaps millennia. "I'll make sure it gets to the right people," she promised. As the prospector pulled away from the luminary, Maya watched the alien vessel grow smaller on her view screen. In 2 weeks, a Coalition ship would arrive to rescue them. In a few months, official first contact protocols would begin between Earth and the Coalition. And it had all started because she'd chosen to answer a call for help that everyone else would have ignored. Maya glanced at Phil the succulent, still thriving on her console. "Life's about to get a lot more interesting, buddy," she said. The prospector turned toward Earth, carrying Maya and humanity toward a new future among the stars.